So another big rebellion for the government. This is on the third amendment, the one that was saying that that Rwanda is a safe country. Interesting also some analysis coming through on the previous rebellions we were just discussing there, that there's like a considerable number of Conservative MPs voting against their government. Also, it sounds like there might have been a handful or even 10 DUP members voting with the Tories, which does mean that when it comes to third reading, the Conservatives are on a very sticky wicket.
Yeah.
Given, as you were saying, Kevin, given that on paper they've got a really healthy majority, actually in practice they've got quite a wafer-thin majority.
Yeah, well, it was 80 when Boris won the election. It's down to about something ridiculous like 54 now. But
with two by-elections pending.
Yeah, and falling. So if these people vote against the act, then Rishi loses, which was something that people haven't been talking about. They always thought this would limp through. But I think what we're seeing now does show the signs of a disaster for Rishi. He could lose this at the main reading.
Yeah. Well, let's cross to Peter Cardwell. Let's get a quick analysis of that. Peter, how significant was that? This was meant to be one of the amendments that we thought perhaps was getting less attention than the others, but actually that was a significant result.
Yes, it was, and there wasn't. It's not that significant in that all that the amendment says is it just reiterates really that Rwanda is a safe country. So that is something that's not that significant really in the scheme of things. So the government won't be too worried about that. But just looking at the numbers and the breakdown we've got from the previous amendments, Sir Bill Cash's one, well, it looks as if there were 48 Conservative MPs who, 58 Conservative MPs who rebelled against that. We also had all 8 members of the Democratic Unionists, the biggest party, the biggest parliamentary party from Northern Ireland, voted against it, or voted for the amendment as well, and 2 independent MPs as well. So very, very interesting. I'll look at haven't quite got the names yet, but once we get the names, I'll have a look at those and maybe give you a bit of analysis on those as well. The amendment that's being voted on as we speak at the moment is Robert Jenrick's amendment, and that is a very significant one as well, because that is something which the government will be very worried about if it should, the numbers with that, because if it's 68 or more, well then they could have trouble on their hands tomorrow, especially with Brendan Clarke-Smith and Lee Anderson having resigned as Deputy Chairman of the Conservative Party.
Yeah, very interesting. And also, Peter, thank you very much. We'll come back to you as soon as we get some more results. Very interesting looking at Robert Jenrick as a character. We talked there about Lee Anderson, about Brendan and Lee, the double act now resigning. But of course, that followed on the heels of just a while ago, Robert Jenrick resigning as somebody who was put into the Home Office to keep an eye on Suella Braverman as a junior minister to her, to sort of clip her wings and keep her under control.
He went native.
He went totally native. Many people saying that he went in something of a centrist conservative. And was sort of radicalised by his experience in the Home Office, because he found the Home Office was so dysfunctional, so useless, that he thought actually. And I'm slightly supporting Esther's point of view on this, that actually those who've seen up close and personal how rubbish the Home Office are come out wanting more extreme measures.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, Jenrick was known as the librarian. He was so quiet and wouldn't say boo to a goose. Indeed. This wasn't a guy that was radical. He wasn't even seen as centre-right. He was right down the middle, known as one of the great fence-sitters of our times. And I don't know whether you got a bit of Stockholm syndrome working with Suella, or whether you, as you say, you saw the chaos of the Home Office.
Saw the shambles.
This is a shambles. It's politicised, and therefore, he's gone rogue and gone rogue.
This comes down to Rishi again, doesn't it? He should have been sorting this out. The shambles of the Post Office. What was it? Back in about 1988 or something. John Reid, the then Home Secretary, said the Home Office is not fit for purpose. How the hell, 30 years later, is it still not fit for purpose? Rishi has been lackadaisical about too many aspects of government like this, allowing civil servants to go rogue, allowing civil servants to sort of rise up and refuse to instigate government policy. This is his problem. He really has not kept a grip on this shambles, this ongoing shambles, and that's what Jenrick stepped into this and said, I can't be a part of this.
Well, do you know what? The first thing he should have done is, years ago, it was just the Home Office, and they separated it off to the Ministry of Justice because it was so big. It was this monolithic system. It's so bureaucratic they couldn't fathom it out. What Rishi should have done when he first came into office is gone, right, we're going to have a Department of Immigration. That's a completely separate splinter. That would have shown intention. That would have shown that he was thinking about it. And right now, I don't think anybody really trusts Rishi Sunak on the very central issue, the issue he's willing to die for, which is immigration.
Which are willing to kill his government
for,
potentially.